Florida Speech 10:1:15. You step foot inside a shelter and breathe in the many different smells. Throughout all the smells, though, that one face gets the best of you. You reach your hand out to pet this cat or dog, and you know at that moment that this animal will be yours. It's then that you realize with this single adoption, you could easily make this animal's life considerably better. When we adopt from the shelter, the animals and us benefit in a variety of ways. We save many lives of animals. Adopting is good for everyone's health and wallets. And lastly, adopting these animals can potentially prevent puppy and kitten mills. Knowing the benefits to adopting from shelters can not only make our lives healthier and help us save money, but it can also make the life of an animal happier. When we take an animal home with us, we are giving it a second chance to live. Adopting an animal opens up a spot in the shelter for another animal that needs a home and lots of love. As stated on the Humane Society website, when you adopt, you save your animal and open up shelter space for another animal who might need it. Adopting will also prevent another animal from being euthanized. Most animals turned to the shelter are either surrender, strays, or come from abuse cases. By giving these animals a second chance at life, we give these animals hope that they have found a forever home in which they can love, live, play, and sleep comfortably. Adopting a pet opens up a spot in the shelter for another animal, keeping abandoned animals off the street. Once one animal leaves the adoption floor, another abandoned animal almost immediately takes that animal's spot for a chance of its own adoption. In Desiree Carver's Valdosta Daily Times newspaper article titled Pets Await Forever Homes, Lowndes County Clerk Paige Duke says, adopting a shelter pet saves 2 lives. For every pet that is adopted, kennel space is made available for the next intake. This is often the case for all shelters, as Emmett County Animal Shelter similarly states on their website. Adopting a pet actually saves 2 lives as you free up space for another animal in need of lasting love through the wonder of adoption. At present, the United States has 5,000 traditional shelters, with just 250 having a no-kill policy. Jennifer Lusich says in her Thou Shalt Not Kill article, traditional shelters usually only keep animals for so many days before putting them down due to not being adopted. In fact, the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, or ASPCA, website states that each year approximately 2.7 million animals are euthanized, 1.2 million dogs, and 1.4 million cats. While the no-kill shelter is slowly making its way through the United States, it has not become big enough yet to save animals from this painful cycle. The next great thing about adopting is it is good for everyone's health and wallets. The animals are usually healthy unless otherwise stated by a veterinarian. A majority of, if not all, shelters will usually perform spays and neuters before adopting these animals out. They will also keep their vaccinations and medications up to date. In addition, a happy, healthy animal is especially good for you as well, literally. According to an article on the PetMD website titled 5 Common Myths About Adopting from a Shelter, written by Cheryl Locke, pets adopted from shelters or rescue organizations are actually 5% less likely to suffer an unexpected trip to the veterinarian. In addition, many shelters' pets are spayed and neutered, and some even come with location microchips. Like humans, dogs and cats are required to have 4 vaccines annually. Other vaccines may be required depending on the area in which you live. With shelter animals being pre-vaccinated before adoption, it saves you money and time, seeing as how many vaccines are good for a year, and booster vaccines are fairly cheap. Along with the vaccinations, pets usually come spayed or neutered already. The ASPCA website states that most shelter dogs are spayed or neutered before adoption, so you won't have to pay for the cost of surgery. While spaying and neutering pets is not a law, keeping an animal intact not only adds to the unwanted animals in shelters, but it also leads to numerous amounts of health problems in the future. Adopting a spayed or neutered animal means you do not have to worry about paying for the surgery in the future, with less to worry about during visits to the vet. An important benefit for you is that pet rescue not only helps to save animals' lives, it can also improve the lives of new owners, says Jessica Von During in her health article, 10 Health Benefits of Owning a Pet, on the Wellbridge website. Animals are good for our hearts, as they are proven to reduce stress, blood pressure, and other issues. With these levels of things being low and within normal limits, heart attacks are less likely to happen. This makes dogs especially helpful for heart attack patients, as Von During states in her article, heart attack patients who have pets survive longer than those without. Continuing with aiding in animals' health and saving their lives, the last benefit I want to discuss with you is how important adopting can help prevent puppy and kitten mills. These mills cramp all animals with one another, and force them to give birth to litter after litter. The SPCA says a puppy mill is a large-scale commercial dog breeding operation where profit is given priority over the well-being of the dogs. By adopting from shelters, you are stopping the breeder from getting to an animal, stopping abuse caused by these mills, and preventing mills from getting money to continue operating and instead helping the shelter. There is no way for shelters to know who exactly is adopting one of their animals. Shelters typically require an application to be filled out and follow many steps during the adoption process to learn more about you and to know the animal will have a forever home with a good companion. Shelters do everything in their power to be sure the animal is going to a secure home. Shelter employees evaluate each application, check references, and interview the applicant either by phone or in person. Based on these evaluations, shelter staff can help match the right dog with the right family. Some shelters will then perform a home evaluation in which a shelter staff or volunteer visits the adopter's residence to make sure that it's a good place for the dog to live and to help the new parent-to-be with dog-proofing tips, says Kim Saunders in her book, The Adopted Dog Bible. By adopting from shelters, we are stopping puppy mills and preventing animal abuse. Puppy mills, as discussed, typically care more about money than the well-being of the animal and will go to any lengths to force the animal to breed. Most rescue cases occur from puppy mill locations. The Humane Society states once more on their website under Puppy Mills Fact, the HSUS has assisted in the rescue of almost 5,000 dogs from puppy mills over the past 2 years alone. By adopting from shelters, we are giving the shelter our money to bring in another animal and do great things in the next one. Most shelters are nonprofit organizations that have limited access to medication, supplies, and space. Shelters work really hard to keep their animals happy and healthy. According to the Humane Society website, in their 10 Reasons to Adopt a Pet article, puppy mills will continue to operate until people stop supporting them. By adopting a pet, you can be certain you aren't giving them a dime. As you can see, there are many benefits to adopting from a shelter. When we adopt from shelters, we save many lives of animals. The animals are usually healthy and help our benefits and wallets, and we can prevent puppy and kitten mills. Adopting animals does more than make us feel better about ourselves. It gives the animal hope to know that it is getting another chance at life.